Hello, Professor. We are Tianli An and Hui Minlin. This is our final project of NYUSPS enrollment analysis. Here is our catalog. Our catalog includes 9 parts. There are exclusive summary, contents, need, vision, outcome, frame question, find, and our analysis process, and how we can apply this result to NYUSPS admission office. Here is our exclusive summary. The performance of NYUSPS admission is highly related to both demographic and geographic characteristics. The analysis is intended to provide a statistical proof that demographic and geographic characteristics extracted from NYUSPS admission data are correlated to the performance of enrollment. Here is our contents. The officers of NYUSPS admission department and financial department staffs will be interested in the result of this report. They are trying to improve enrollment of high-quality students. They want to know what factor affects the students' decision of enrollment. To be furthering, our project is going to analyze the correlation between demographic factors of the applicants and the admitted candidates. So, in order to achieve our target, we need to know the number of all the applicants, students that are admitted and enrolled, and their high school GPA and SAT scores, the financial aid that the school offered. Our vision is to better understand the enrollment situation and gain a competitive advantages of SPS. And we don't use those variables which miss the majority of information. When doing the analysis of applied and admitted students, we use the data filter to just include those students who are admitted. By analyzing the data, we found that the admission of the school is highly related with the high school GPA and SAT total scores. The enrollment rate is related to the institutional financial aid. Our argument scratch. According to the analysis result, we conclude that the students from some states have higher GPA with the institutional aids are more likely to enroll in SPS. A and B are the main factors that students are less likely to enroll for, and so that the SPS should make improvement on these aspects. Here is our outcome. According to the result, if the enrollment rate is highly correlated with the institutional aids, SPS should offer more aids. If the location of students is one of the variables that affect the enrollment, schools should consider to adjust the recruit performance and give offers to the students in the place where students are more likely to enroll. If the students have a high GPA but don't enroll in NYU, SPS should find out what will be attractive to those students. The analysis result will be helpful for the SPS admission office to adjust the recruiting method and for the financial department to have more budget on encouraging students to enroll in NYU. To measure the outcome, we can calculate the enrollment rate of the next academic year and see if it is higher than this year as expected. Our frame questions has 3 parts. The first question is, are there any correlations between academic performance with admitted and enrolled student? Can we predict whether the student will be admitted and enrolled? The second question is, what are the demographic characteristics of admitted and enrolled students? The third question is, what factors drive the enrollment rate? Will there be more enrolled students if the school provides more financial aids? So we will use the original dataset which is provided by Professor the Mission Excel. This is a dictionary definition Excel with some of the explanations of the variables. There are 50 variables in total. As indicated in the dataset, there are two dependent variables. One is enrolled, which means whether the student enrolled school after he or she received the offer. The other one is admitted, which means whether the school accepts the student or not. To pick out the variables which are related to the frame questions above, we did the following data processing. Because we want to know the relationship between students' academic performance with admitted and enrolled students, and use the relationship to predict the probability of acceptance, we need to reserve all the variables about student academic scores. For this part, the variables are high school GPA, ACT English, ACT Math, SAT Verbal, SAT Math, ACRK Index, class rank. There are many missing data under some variables. We will not delete the rows or insert zero, but we will not use them for analysis factor. The variables we finally reserve are high school GPA, SAT Math, SAT Verbal, class rank percentile, SAT total scores, class size, and class rank. To figure out the factors of the applied and admitted students, we reserved most of the demographic variables and didn't use some variables because there are many missing rows, like nation description and the legacy description. At this part, when analyzing applied and admitted students, we use all the clean data, and when analyzing the enrolled students, we use the data filter to exclude the data with zero of the variable admitted. For the purpose of understanding what factors drive students to enroll, we need to reserve 10 variables: institutional age offer, religion description, high school GPA, etc. Here is our analysis. Based on the analysis below, we can conclude that when students perform better on GPA, SAT Verbal, SAT Math, and class rank, they will have more chance to be admitted. NYU should target those students who have a high GPA and have a high rank in class percentile. But the result also shows that among those students who are admitted and have best academic performance, they may not choose to enroll in NYU. To figure out the relationship between academic performance and the admitted students, as well as academic performance and the enrolled students, we first conduct a fit model. We use enrolled and admitted as a dependent variable and put 7 variables into model effects. The first part is to analyze admitted student. The graph shows the result. And then we choose those variables whose p-value is smaller than 0.05 to do a fit model again. They are high school GPA, SAT Verbal, SAT Math, class rank, and class size. So the graph shows the result, and we come up with a admitted probability formula as the graph shows. This is the formula to predict whether a student will be admitted. NYU can use this formula to predict whether a student will be admitted to control the quantity of offers. Besides, the R-square is 0.52, which means the model fits the data moderately. The second part is for the enrolled student. After predicting the number of admitted students, we want to predict the number of enrolled students. We put enrolled in the dependent variable and put 7 variables as independent variables. So this is the fit model as the screen shows. As we can see that high school GPA and class rank percentile have p-value which are smaller than 0.05, but the R-square is 0.52 0026, which less than 5%, because the R-square is too small, which means it can't fit the model well. So we can use this model to predict whether a student will enroll in NYU or not. It also means that for those students who enrolled in NYU, their decision may have no relationship with their academic performance. For the students who have highest GPA and class rank, they may not choose NYU. Then we compare the quality of admitted and enrolled students. In order to improve the quality of enrolled students, we need to compare the academic performance of admitted and enrolled students. We use data filter to choose the students who are admitted. Then we use Tableau to cross over enrolled with 6 variables: high school GPA, SAT verbal, SAT math, SAT total score, class rank, and class percentile. We can see from the chart that those students who don't enroll in NYU have higher school GPA and SAT scores, and they rank higher in class than those enrolled in NYU. That means NYU is not attractive to high GPA students. Maybe NYU isn't attractive enough to those excellent students. Then we analyze the demographic of applied and admitted students. In this part, we want to figure out the demographic factors of the admitted and enrolled student. Before analyzing, we change the nature of variable applied and admitted from continuous to nominal. First, we made a contribution analysis for all the applicators. We found that the majority of the applications come from east side of America, such as PA, NY, and NJ. This shows people in the East Coast are more familiar with our school than the people in the West Coast. The major students applied it mainly focus on undeclared social science, undecided business, and biology. Most of the applicants are citizens, which shows that the students who want to attend this school are mainly domestic. The average SAT score of applicators is 1144. The emphasis of all the applicants are white people, and there are more female applicators. Then we conducted a decision tree to find out the demographic factor of the admitted student. Blue indicates the admitted student and red indicates the students that are not admitted. From the decision tree, we found that students that are offered institution higher or equal to $250 are more likely to be admitted. Among those applicants who are offered institution aid less than $250 and have high school GPA higher or equal to 2.52 and SAT total score higher or equal to 1100 are more likely to be admitted. Therefore, the institutional A's, high school GPA, and SAT total score have influence on admitted students, so we can conclude that the school requires good grade of its candidates. To find out what factors drive enrollment rate, we conducted a fit model. We used the data filter to exclude those data with zero of the variable admitted which might have influence of the final result. Here's the graph of our fit model result. Then we choose the variable which p-value is smaller than 0.05. There are institutional A's offer, religion description, high school GPA, resident description, merit-based financial aids, common application, etc. We use these variables to do a fit model again. So this is the fit model we did. From the graph above, we can see that the enrollment has relationship with institutional A's offer, religion description, high school GPA, residence description, merit-based financial aids, common application, admissions population description, legacy description. Using this model, we can predict whether a student will be enrolled or not when given completed data. Finally, we want to find out what NYU SPS can do to increase enrollment rate. Based on the previous analysis, we learned that the enrollment rate has related to 10 variables. We use the variables enrolled as the response and 10 variables institutional age offer, religion description, etc. as factors to conduct a decision tree. The decision tree can get us into deep insight what NYU SPS can provide to students to increase enrollment rate, and we mainly focus on institutional aids. Blue stands for students who enrolled, while red stands for students who don't enroll. From the decision tree, we can learn that when institutional aid is less than $400, most of admitted students don't enroll in NYU. When the institutional aid is of over $23,850, most of the students choose to enroll. When the institutional aid is between $400 to $23,850, students whose GPA is less than 3.18 will enroll. That might be because the financial aid is not attractive enough for those high-score students. So, here's our conclusion and how SPS can apply. Since the students most come from PA, NY, NJ, MA, which are all from East Coast, we know that the students from East Coast have greater recognition of NYU SPS. Therefore, NYU SPS can do more advertising in West and South Coast area, especially in big cities, to widen the sources of applicants. The demographic data shows that students mostly are citizens, and the emphasis is mainly white people. This tells us NYU SPS has many local students, while international students take a small part. So NYU should be more open to the international students to increase the quantity of students. From the chart, we can see that NYU SPS requires applicants who have high GPA and SAT score. This requirement is good to improve the quality of students, so SPS should insist this requirement. Because when the institutional aid is over $23,850, the enrollment rate is high among the students whose GPA is high. When the financial aid is between $400 to $23,850, the enrollment rate is high among the students whose GPA is not high enough. So NYU SPS can offer higher institutional aids to those students whose GPA and SAT scores are high to improve the quality of students. Because most students don't report their religion description, don't enroll in NYU, we may infer that they consider NYU has a preference in religion, so they don't choose NYU. The school can announce that they have a freedom of religion and welcome students with different backgrounds. So here is our presentation, and thank you, Professor. If you have any questions, please contact us immediately. Thank you.